there. Welcome to this episode of Experts on Purpose. The special guest we have today is KC Rossi. KC is a business and leadership coach who helps high-achieving CEOs and entrepreneurs go from people-pleasing, burned-out perfectionists to profitable powerhouses. She's been a full-time entrepreneur since 1991 and has built 6- and 7-figure businesses. KC is a certified aromatherapist, mind-body eating coach, and an NLP practitioner. This allows her to bring an integrated and intuitive approach to her coaching. KC is the founder of the Soulprint Method, a system that combines energy, mindset, and spirituality. This holistic approach provides extreme clarity, dissolves limiting beliefs, improves performance, and opens the way to experience and share your full potential. Hey, KC, welcome to Experts on Purpose.
I am so excited to be here, Josna. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure, KC. I think you might probably be the entrepreneur with the highest number of years of experience behind you. So you've been an entrepreneur for more than 3 decades. And what's amazing is that, KC, you've reinvented yourself several times. You've had a 7-figure confection manufacturing business, but now you're helping female entrepreneurs through your coaching business. So how did you actually pivot and start this coaching?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and it's interesting because to that point of pivoting, I had 9 different businesses before that 10th one, which was the confection manufacturing company, took off. And so from there, I've even had other iterations. And I think that for me, part of sustainable success as an entrepreneur is being able to pivot and not get so stuck in something. If it's not energetically aligning with you, to give yourself the permission to pivot. So that's exactly what I did when I was starting to feel out of alignment selling sugar. I was starting to increase a healthier diet and really looking at superfoods and fuel that we're eating and how that energizes our system. And, we bring ourselves with us wherever we go. So I was really starting to look at complementary medicine and vitality and how that translates in other areas. So that's when I chose to sell that candy company that we ran for 17 years. Back in 2011, we sold that. And at that point, I had pivoted to my aromatherapy company.
Right.
And so in that, what I noticed and what I started to notice is that I was taking a bunch of different certification programs. And so I kind of got on this course carousel, which I think probably a lot of your listeners can relate to. We start taking one thing after another and we don't want to miss out. We really want to add a bunch of tools to our toolbox. But what I noticed when I would graduate from these certification programs is women were pivoting, generally like 40 plus, from a soul-sucking job or an in-the-box 9 to 5, and they wanted to go into something that was going to be more fulfilling, more soul-aligned. And they were really good in their craft, whether they were, a yoga therapist, aromatherapist, nutritionist, it generally tended to be in some type of health arena. But once they graduated, they didn't have the business skills. And so they got out there and they were like, now what? Like, what do you mean funnel? How do I market myself? And then all these other things came up, like imposter syndrome and who am I? And how do I build a website? And so that's actually how I pivoted into coaching, because I saw this need. And I was like, hey, wait, at that point, I had 2 decades of experience of building something from nothing. So I'm like, I can actually help these women bridge the gap for getting into the business arena.
Wow. I love this backstory, KC, and it gives me a couple of thoughts. One is, firstly, just because, you study something in college, you don't have to do that for the rest of your life. You can keep changing your profession and your business according to what is at the moment aligned with your soul. So you are looking inward and you're getting that message and you are taking that brave decision to make that change, which is great. And secondly, you're also tuning yourself into what your clients are saying, right? Yeah. So that way you are listening to their needs and creating offers based on what can serve them at the highest level. And I think that is the secret sauce for your success, KC, because you're listening to yourself as well as your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have to be able to have those big listening ears on. And then I think the other thing to that is I feel like when we are intimately in the trenches with them, we have like just a different sense of helping them walk through it. Like they say, you only have to be one step ahead of your clients. And I think that that's really true. And I also think that's what many times holds back entrepreneurs is they feel they need to be 35, 50 steps ahead of them in order to help. But I feel like when you have this intimate relationship to the struggle, you're almost like a better mentor because you know what it takes to be disciplined, to, have habit change and to do all the mindset things and other things that we need to do to traverse the territory.
Yeah, so true. So when you decided to start coaching people, how did you launch this, Casey? Did you like do it for free for a couple of clients to see what's working, or did you know that it's going to be the Soulprint method? So how did this evolve?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had been running my aromatherapy boutique simultaneously to my confection company for 4 years. So I had created many SKUs in the marketplace to help with different aches and pains and emotional and physical situations with essential oils. So I started writing articles for international publications. So I had a couple things published, which was great. That really increased my exposure. Then I started doing a monthly newsletter for the Alliance of International Aromatherapists. Then they started bringing me in as an expert speaker for certain things. And that led into showing up in person. This was pre-COVID, and doing trade shows. And that's really what started dropping those marketing seeds of, yes, I am a certified aromatherapist. However, now I am able to help aromatherapists with their business. And that's really how I started cracking into that market. So it was really first getting known and then delivering consistent value, really, I would say over a 1 to 2 year period. And then all of a sudden it just became word of mouth. And that's really what filled my client roster is other people were saying, hey, look, I'm working with Casey. She helped me do this in my business. Everything from branding to web development to copywriting, because in the very beginning, I also did implementation services. So it was a coaching consulting combo, which is pretty unique in the industry. It becomes, like a one-stop shop. You're the GC for entrepreneurs. And that's really how I cracked in and started building a full client roster, really kind of right off the bat.
Nice. I think a lot of times we undervalue the power of the people who are already in our network, and we keep going out and looking for clients. But it's really smart that you wanted to serve people who are already in touch with you. So today, right now in the business, do you also serve people who are not aromatherapists?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. In fact, I have a very diverse client roster. It's interesting, we tracked people that are very similar to us. So I tend to attract people in the holistic healing arts. So I have a clinical nurse specialist. I have a spiritual book coach. I mean, I have several different people in my arena now, but they tend to be in the holistic space, helping people with some type of change work or transformation work.
Sure. So while working with these different type of clients, I'm sure you would have also created your own method, by working with so many people. And that's how the method that you currently have, did it get created along the way?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like once you start seeing that this step-by-step process is getting results, you almost start to say, okay, wait, like I've actually developed something. And I think that this is also on trend for people who are creating signature systems, but I feel like it's there for a reason because you've actually uncovered something that you found works for your clients, that there is a transformation. So the Soulprint method really came from seeing that it's not all about just being taskmaster oriented, which is very, left brain, masculine, yang oriented. And what I saw is when women stayed just in that lane, and I think a lot of us feel that we have to be in this hustle and grind culture. And so I was really on a mission to have this synergistic integrated approach and bring in the feminine essences, which is the yin, the fluidity, just being open, receptive, tapped into our intuition. And this is really this yin yang balance that is the foundation to my Soulprint method. It brings in both sides of our brain, and it also allows for prevention of burnout, because in my 17 years of building that 7+ figure candy company, I had adrenal fatigue and burnout. And so I knew in the next iteration that I had to bake in self-care, boundaries, and really having this integrated approach. So I didn't just subscribe to the old paradigm that was making people unhappy and sick.
Yeah, makes total sense. And what I understand from this is when you have your very first client for your coaching business, you need not have this well laid out system. You can develop it along the way.
You should develop it along the way because it goes back to your initial piece when you have those big listening ears of what are the client's needs. This is how you create something that is really answering the need for your ideal client. And then the other thing I want to say to that is like, I'm a fan of the Kaizen philosophy, which is never ending improvement. And so to me, being able to go in and tweak, massage, and update pieces in your signature system based on the current marketplace, based on the newest business trends and best business practices, that's how you're going to have sustainable success. When you get locked into a box in that fixed mindset where it's like, I created this year one and I'm never going to change it, that's when things start to stagnate. And we have to keep up with the marketplace because things are happening at such a rapid pace. And I feel like we're seeing a difference in people, a difference in business, a difference in work-life balance post-COVID, post 2020. And so we have to keep up with those changing demands if we want to still remain magnetic.
Yeah, absolutely. So you actually help your clients to be profitable, but at the same time have, soul aligned businesses. So the profitable is probably the masculine part and the soul aligned is the feminine part. So why do people actually struggle so hard to attain this balance? Because I see there are one set of entrepreneurs who are just going after the money, nothing wrong with that, but they get burnt out. There are these other entrepreneurs who are following their heart, but they're not able to make lots of money. They are happy, but then somewhere they feel they could do more, right? So why do people struggle with this?
It's such a brilliant question. And I feel like there's a lot of layers to that. So one, we have this ancestral and society pressure of this paradigm that hard work is honest work. And we have to like sweat at the brow in order for that to be something that like maybe aligns to our spirituality. And I feel like, especially because I work with a lot of healers, there's several money mindset blocks of how can I profit from helping someone get out of pain or from helping someone have a transformation. There's a lot of self-worth issues that come up and money mindset issues that come up. So I think there's a combination of like that society paradigm and internal limiting beliefs, especially from the feminine side, where we're used to being the caregivers. We're used to just making sure that everybody else's cup is filled. And then if we can get a few crumbs after, that should be satiating enough. And I think that there's some guilt, there's shame that has to be uncovered. So I think mindset is so very crucial. I always say that we are worth the whole darn cake. Like it's no longer good enough to just have a few crumbs and be like, I'm okay. I'm good enough. And so I think, this balance is a huge mindset shift of being able to embody and accept that you can be making money and still be a spiritual person and still be a successful entrepreneur. You can craft it in a way that works for you. And that definition of success is very different for everyone. I have to say that I'm much more grounded and balanced in my 6-figure coaching business than I was in my 7+ figure manufacturing company. And I'm happy. And it's not that I'm limiting myself or not playing full out or playing big. I just know that how I was with a team of 25 is very, very different with myself and my team of 1 to 2 independent contractors. And I really like that. I like where I am right now. So I think, for your listeners, it's really important that you get to define what success means to you. And it doesn't have to look like anybody else's framework or blueprint or 7 or 8-figure situation. You may be very happy at 100K or 250. Like that may fulfill you and your specific life goals.
Wow, I think what you just said is so liberating because a lot of times we do not value our own success because we are constantly comparing ourselves with what the other entrepreneurs in our circle are posting on Instagram about their latest 7-figure month. And you are probably doing your career best, but still it doesn't feel enough because we are constantly comparing ourselves because of social media. I'm sure a lot of your clients go through that as well.
Absolutely. I feel that that just propagates lack and limitation beliefs. And that is really kind of like this death sentence to creativity when we're in that comparing mode. And so I'm really such a fan of digital minimalism and setting those boundaries and how many inputs we take in from social media, from other marketing channels, from our inbox that's flooding it. To me, in order to kind of stay focused on your goals as an entrepreneur and have a little bit more white space and opportunity for like your soul to speak to you, we have to put in those discipline boundaries of limiting what we take in. And it's, it's not necessarily easy, but the return is pretty incredible on the lower stress levels that you have, lower anxiety. There isn't that comparison, and you're able to cultivate the creativity that is really needed to propel you and your business forward.
Yeah, so true. What I can understand, Casey, is, there are all these new strategies and tactics that you'll have to teach your clients to be updated and stuff like that. But more than that, you're helping them with their energy and the mindset and the spiritual side of things, right? So how does your coaching look like? Like, what is the duration of the program? Is it one-on-one with you, or is it a group course? So how does it work?
Yeah, such a good question. So currently my roster is one-on-one, but I'm in development to put a group coaching program out called Glow CEO, where we're able to then have that tribe element, because again, I feel that the sense of belonging and community is actually even increased now post 2020. Like, it was always important, but I feel like now this arena, there's a thirst for it more than ever. And I also think that there's a synergy that happens where you can learn from other people that are having the same mindset and the same heart intention as you. So you're not just gleaning everything off of the coach. So I'm really excited to launch that coming up. But currently I work with people for a 6-month package, one-on-one, where we can really go deep and personal about what are those limiting mindset beliefs. Where are the little gaps in your day where maybe you could be more focused by having a little bit of habit maintenance or habit development? Like, it's a very customized approach, because that's part of why I named it the Soulprint Method, because we are as unique as our fingerprint. And so that's how I came up with that term, is like, I want it to be soul aligned, but it also has to be that you are the architect of your business. You get to decide what works for you, how many hours you want to work in a week, like how you want to show up on social media based on your personality. I help a lot of introverts market in a way that feels good to them, so it doesn't feel like they're playing a record backwards. And again, this is a lot about self-leadership, self-trust, and putting practices in place that feels comfortable and aligned with who you are.
Yeah, sure. I also noticed, Casey, that you work both with entrepreneurs as well as corporate leaders. So how are their challenges different?
Oh, very different, actually. I think that to me, an entrepreneur has a different set of risk factors. I feel like, being a business owner, to me, feels like it's baked into your DNA. There is this sense of there is no plan B. You're willing to take the risk. You have to put yourself out there in a little bit of a different way, because it's like me, myself, and I. It's not team ordinarily, especially as a startup. As you grow, you can bring team on, and then you become the leader of your own business. So the similarity is there's leadership skills in both lanes, because anytime we're influencing even one person, we are demonstrating leadership. But the big difference, I think, in for my like corporate clients and my leadership clients, this is now like intimate. How do we increase our return on investment? How do we work together as a team? How do we improve communication? There's definitely like skill overlap in both arenas. But I do feel it's different because in this other space, they're getting a standard paycheck. Like there is job security. They have a 401k. Like it's really very different from being a solopreneur. But I think one of the things that I help the corporate leaders is with emotional intelligence and being able to understand how to pull the different levers of understanding the full range of emotions. And this is oftentimes looked at as a soft skill, but when you really step back, it's the skills of like empathy and humor and all of those emotional pieces that make a really excellent leader. So that piece really, really helps that particular lane of who I help.
Yeah, sure. So a lot of our listeners are already experts at whatever they are doing, but when it comes to scaling it up or starting it in the form of a business, they kind of hold themselves back because now you have other elements like managing a team or marketing yourself, and people like to be the best kept secret, right? They don't want to talk much about it. So currently, I'm sure with all your years of experience, Casey, your marketing and your team would have evolved. But right now, for the business that you're running, how does the marketing funnel look like? What are some of the things you do to attract leads whom you convert to clients, and to service them? Other than you being the coach, I'm sure you need other people to help you with certain things. So how does your team look like?
Yeah, absolutely. Such a good question. And I feel like when people are ready to scale up, there is a resistance to bring on team. And I think that I experience this as well. This is also a piece that I help my clients that are ready to take that next level with. And it's about letting go of perfectionism and embracing that someone else actually can do as good a job, if not better than you. And I think one of the pieces too that will really ease, if we have a listener in this space, is being so clear on what you need before you start the hiring process and really develop those SOPs, your standing operating procedures, like in such a granular way, like whether you're doing Loom videos or you're setting up Asana or a Trello board that's so specific with your guidelines before you even start looking to build your team, because it's not only going to help them onboard, it really helps you get very clear on who you need, how many people you need, how many hours do you need? Like you might be fine with 5 hours of support a week in the beginning. Once you lay it all out and be like, oh, okay, now I'm actually seeing this. And I think oftentimes when people are in the weeds and they're overwhelmed, they don't take the time to do that and they jump in and they hire too soon. And then it becomes really this micromanaging time suck, which is the opposite of why they wanted to build their team. So I wanted to preface that because it definitely is needed as you scale, because a surefire way to have burnout is when you are the nucleus of everything in your business and everything rotates around you and your task list. So it's important to get to that next level to bring on team. I started first with a virtual assistant and started handing off some admin tasks. And then went into having a specific podcast editing company, which really helped in that arena. Because to your second part of that question, what is a successful marketing technique that I use? I definitely use podcasting as a way to deliver like consistent value, to just have that touch point on a weekly basis with my audience and bring in other people. I'm really excited to have you on the show because there's, I alternate with my podcast. My podcast is called Women Developing Brilliance, the Spirit of Business. And so I have this hybrid podcast where 1 week it's a solo cast, so I can really go deep on a point that's going to be helping my audience. And then the alternate week, I bring in amazing guests like yourself, and we have unedited conversations really about the entrepreneurial journey, the jigs, the jags, what's working, what's hot. And my audience really loves that combination. And I think this hybrid approach has been really, really successful. And I think we're at like 188 episodes at this point. So that's been such a awesome channel to reach people. And I think, as we know in marketing, one of the key factors for success is consistency. And for my personality, that was the marketing piece that I felt really excited and lit up about, to be consistent. And that's a really key piece. Like it's only going to work for you if it feels good. And if you're not dreading it, it's not on that like perpetual Groundhog Day to-do list. Like if you start seeing something on your to-do list week after week after week, you just have to check in with yourself. Like maybe this isn't in alignment to my personality. Like if you're trying to force being a blogger, but you're not a writer, that's going to be no bueno for you.
Yeah.
You know, like maybe you need to be looking at live streams or other forms of marketing. So for me, the audio channel has been a great fit.
Yeah. So what I can see here is even your marketing is very soul aligned. And I could see the joy when you spoke about your podcast, because you'll enjoy doing it, right? And you don't have to do 20 different things to market yourself. You're just doing this one thing, but super consistently. And that has given you all the results.
Yeah, you nailed it. Absolutely.
Right. So what would be your one message, Casey, to all those experts out there who are doing a disservice by not really showing up consistently and helping people because they think that they're not good enough yet?
Yeah, that is probably one of our most popular limiting beliefs is I'm not worth it. I'm not good enough. And I feel like this is something that there isn't a quick fix for. You know, there isn't something that we can just talk ourselves out of. I feel like to me, having an inward practice that helps us get grounded, that helps us tune into that inner wisdom really starts helping to dissolve that limiting belief.
Mm-hmm.
So that's first and foremost. And I think that it is getting very clear on your deep why, because when you're clear with your deep why, it removes the ego. It removes the I'm going to be judged.
Yeah.
What if I fail? And the I'm not good enough. Because if you really start to peel back, and I have an episode all about how to peel back your deep why, when you really get clear of like, why am I even doing this? Who am I doing it for? How can I serve? How can my work be like worship? Well, that just changes the whole lens of how we show up in our business. And it really starts to chip away at that limiting belief and any of those self-doubting thoughts. It's a process. We have to have self-grace, and there isn't a quick fix for it, which I think because it's not sexy, a lot of people like sidestep it. But that's really the key, is like showing up for yourself, tuning out the noise, getting really clear about your deep why, and showing up anyway. And I feel like when we can start to get influenced by other people who are doing this, like for me, Mel Robbins is a great inspiration. Her 5-second rule and her high five habit have been really instrumental for me to get out of my own way. And so I feel like if you can just even tune into somebody that inspires you and just know that like, hey, they're showing up. It's like, they're not a superhuman. They have the same fears and doubts that you did, but they're doing it. And if they can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah, these are such great tips, Casey. I would love for you to share the link to understand the deep why, because I'm personally interested to know more about that, and I'm sure our listeners would love to as well. And you also
Beautiful.
spoke about an inner practice, right? So, do you mean something like meditation?
Yes. Yep. I've been meditating every day since 1990, and that is a non-negotiable for me. And I feel like that helps me kind of purge out all of the dross and dirt that I've collected during the day from all the inputs, you know, all the inputs, whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, marketing, like everything that we're taking in. To me, it helps clear that slate so I can actually even have space to hear what's my next right move? Like, what's my higher self guiding me to do now? I feel being able to recharge. It's almost like plugging into the battery pack. And so to me, that's what meditation is. For someone else, it could be a walk in nature. It could be yoga. There's no one right way. It's just, again, like what feels good to you? How do you feel expansive? And what's not a should? Because I also have like overdone the self-help personal development at times where it's this laundry list of shoulds, and that's defeating the purpose too, because we're not robots and it's not about checking something off the to-do list. So I know I went on a tangent, but I'm really passionate about that piece because you know, I'm sure your listeners are very much like you and I, forever learners, you know, like ready to dive in and be high achieving. But there's also something really beautiful about just being and not doing.
Yeah. I love this. I'm going to keep listening to this episode over and over again because you shared so many beautiful nuggets, Casey. So where can people find out more about you and your work?
Thank you. It was such an honor to connect with you. And they can head over to kcrossi.com/lead because I have a free 3-part video series. If they're resonating with this message, it's called Know Thyself and Lead. And it really helps you get to that sweet spot of combining all of the good things and kind of like, where do you go from here? So it just gives some gentle training to go a little bit deeper into some of the things we're talking about today.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that gift. And I'll have the link right below this episode. And thank you once again, Casey, for being on Experts on Purpose.
Thank you so much for having me.